Frank here. I just wanted to hop in real quick to make sure to really tell you guys about this charity we have coming up. It should be the day that this podcast comes out. On the 23rd, November 23rd at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We'll post on Twitter the time map that shows, like, oh, if I'm here, it's there, what time. Anyway, so we're raising money for Checkpoint Organization. This is an organization that really pushes mental health through gaming. They have all kinds of really great tools on their website you guys could use to really help yourself out if you have any questions, any concerns. So many resources. They're really all about raising awareness for mental health. It's so important, especially this year, as you guys all know, has been a tricky year for us all as humanity. So they're really doing a lot. The tool I would really suggest is they have the Checkpoint Companion, the Coping Companion. The digital copy is available for any donation. So if you go over there and you want to donate just even $1, they'll send you their digital version of this deck they have with different coping ideas and different companions. Of course, if you want to buy the actual deck itself, that's only $18 and is a really nice thing to keep on hand. Keep it in the car, something like that. But anyway, so on the 23rd at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, join us on stream. We're going to be playing Shadowlands. That's what this episode's going to be all about, is World of Warcraft. And we're going to be raising money for the Checkpoint Organization, a really, great organization that's out there trying to help other people. We hope you guys can join us, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you. Hey all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and I'm joined by Daniel.
Hola.
Daniel, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Doing good. How about you, Taff?
Doing pretty good. Getting excited for Shadowlands. That's what this entire episode is going to be about. So normally you guys get the news of the week out of us. We're going to be holding off on that. You guys can go to our website, find all the news of the week. It's geekfreakspodcast.com. Right now, we're just talking about Shadowlands. Are you hyped for this new expansion?
Very hyped. I'm excited. Can't wait to hang out with the friends again on Discord.
Totally agree. Have you settled on what you're going to play for the next expansion?
Yes. And I'm kind of afraid too. I'm going to be playing Enhancement Shaman.
Enhancement.
Enhancement right now. But then I have a second Shaman for Resto. It's going to be on my old server, Nurzul.
Mm-hmm.
So, super excited. Now, what about you, Taff?
Well, real quick, when you're leveling, what are you going to level first? You're going to go Enhancement first, or you're going to try to level up the healer?
I'm going to do Enhancement because I'm expecting to do Mythic Pluses with all the homies.
Yeah.
All the old guildies and stuff like that. So I'm going to go Enhancement first. And then once I'm in a good state, I'll work on my Resto set. And then I think right now Resto, just healing in general, is going to be a lot harder.
Yes.
And I don't want to commit that time to it. Yeah. It's just, I want to see how it goes. Maybe just use it for raid healing with Sword of the Horde or whatever on my server. And then, that's pretty much it.
It's kind of the hard thing with healing too, is like everything depends on you. So you really can't mess that up. And if you're just trying to have fun and enjoy your day, sometimes it's easier to not worry about having to heal as well.
Well, the big issue too is like when you go from only being a healer to like DPSing and healing, and then it's like, no, now you need to DPS and heal at the same time. It makes it a lot of work. Yeah. And I'm just like not into that right now. Like I played a healer to heal, not to DPS.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna make us have to DPS. Now I'll just go play a DPS and not have to put more time into it than like a DPS would have to. Yeah. Like a DPS, they have to do their stuff, DPS, but as a healer, you have to heal, make sure everybody's living, and DPS to burn bosses right now. It's just hard. And my shaman, they get no love right now in Resto. So I'm just like, I'll definitely raid heal.
Especially in Mythic Plus is like, it's required that your healer is able to pop in and do a little bit of damage here and there, just like it is for a tank to have to do a fair amount of damage now. Paladins look like they're going to be doing really good damage. Of course, DKs have always got a good advantage there. So it's the same kind of thing. We always have to look for what's going to be doing a good damage as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to be playing a BM Hunter. nice, chill, easy class. You guys can watch me go ahead and be on top of the DPS charts with far less effort, but that's basically how BM Hunter works out. I just love it too much. It's too hard to pass up. All right.
I thought it was Marksman.
No,
That
Marksman.
was gonna be top.
Well, Marksman had a bug that was making him on top. They may not have that bug anymore. It looks like they're fixing
Oh.
it. So, BM, I still think with mobility, I think it's so underrated how much their mobility is going to help them out too. Especially when progression fights, you have to move a lot. So, I still think BM's going to be top dogs. We'll have to see. They're not really changing much. It's going to be basically the same hunters that we went from BFA. And mostly
So
Legion.
you guys are gonna be like top of everybody, even like mages right now. I thought mages were in a good place.
No, we're middle of the road on the DPS charts, but the DPS charts aren't very accurate right now. We'll have to see. No, we don't know really where anybody's at right now, just because all the charts are predictable or predicting more than anything else.
Oh, just don't worry, Taff. Like when I play with you, like enhancement's gonna be dog shit, and you will definitely be beating me at least.
Well, those AoE pulls should be all heat, man. AoE for enhancement is supposed to be really good right now.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with talking about. We're gonna go through each of the expansions one by one through their release dates. Talk about what they were about, and then we're gonna throw them up on the ranking board. So, for those of you who are not familiar, video game ranks go S, A, B, C, D, F. And S means like it's S tier. It's just like it's so good. It's above A tier. It's like just crazy good. There's only 2 expansions I think can even get close to it. But let's go ahead and start off with the original game, Vanilla WoW. Now, Daniel, you came in at Wrath of the Lich King, correct?
Correct.
But you played Vanilla through the Classic a little bit, and you go way back and visited it. What are your thoughts, like in general? Like, how good was that expansion or that base game?
It was really good. I love the only reason I really enjoyed it was just the community.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's just helpful, chill. Everybody's the main thing was just helping each other, and then just experiencing all that old content and stuff like that was a lot of fun. The only issue was like they gave us add-ons and stuff like that, because in vanilla there was no add-ons at all. So it was really fun though.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hit max level. I think I was like 5 levels away from hitting max level.
Classic. Yeah. I came in at BC. So again, my WoW vanilla experience is mostly through Classic, but I did like how the world seemed so much bigger and the problems seemed so much smaller within it. Like the bosses were a dragon that was in a cave, or there's the Fire Lord that's a big problem, but he still feels manageable. When you see in later expansions, it's like the Legion is gonna destroy the planet.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to take Azeroth's heart, and it's just like okay, or Azeroth's soul, and it's just like okay, it's a little bit beyond what I can do. I did like how those little problems like that. Did you feel like the classic game felt bigger than the game we have today?
No, it didn't really feel bigger.
Okay.
But there was a issue though. Wasn't there like they weren't expecting people to get so far into it that they had to release content faster than they wanted to? Like BlackRock, what was it called? Whatever the raid, like
I know that.
Oh yeah, like I know like certain raids got released early, so they just had to kind of like pick it up. So I could see why, you were saying about the WoW felt a little rushed.
Yeah. What do you think about the slower combat style? Because nowadays, especially like with the hunters, you're constantly pressing buttons, you're constantly moving, you're constantly having to make sure you use every GCD. When back in the day, you had to wait for melee swings to build rage, to then spend it on an ability. Much slower combat. How do you feel about the slower combat versus today's faster combat?
Well, I like the older content combat.
Yeah,
it was a lot better. There's a lot of abilities. There's nothing. You could just go like enhancement 2-handed or whatever. Like I like the old combat over the new combat.
I see what you're
and
saying
plus,
there, though. Yeah.
And then if you're going like the last expansion, you didn't really have too many abilities too. So this expansion, if you're going off this expansion, I'm definitely thinking this expansion is gonna be way better than the very first expansion, because now we're getting all our cooldowns, our abilities back. So
yeah,
I definitely think going off this expansion, I think this one's gonna be way better than the original.
We've had a series of pruning and unpruning and pruning again and unpruning. Yeah. So so back in the original vanilla, you had a whole suite of utility spells that were to help you while you're leveling because you spent a lot more time leveling, or while you're out in the open
Yeah.
world. And then come Legion and especially BFA, they really scaled you down to just a few buttons you had to press, nothing major. It kind of felt like this is kind of a dumbed down, especially if you play Demon Hunter. It's like what 2, 3 buttons you have to worry about. They're really bad about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but in Shadowlands, they're giving us a lot of those utility spells back. Some of them that are almost useless. Like for example, if you're a Fury Warrior, you have like Shield Slam. You just have to wear a shield. It seems useless, but there's those kind of weird. It's kind of a nice flavor to have, like why
Yeah.
not have that? But yeah, is there anything else about vanilla that you liked?
Not really, honestly. The game was fun, but it
Yeah,
was really hard.
very
It
hard.
just took it, and it just took so long to level. I know a lot of people love vanilla.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but then I didn't really care for it too. Like
yeah,
it just got annoying. Leveling took forever. And that's why I just pretty much gave up. I mean, maybe if I started with World of Warcraft in the beginning in vanilla time, maybe I would love it like everybody else does. But I started in Wrath, and I think that was the best expansion. But
yeah,
it's hard to say,
yeah,
going off me.
yeah. The last thing I'll add for vanilla before we move on, I really liked how community building was so important. You didn't have looking for group or looking for raid. You had to actually find people, and you stuck to your server. So
Yeah,
Tap on Ner'zhul was Tap on Ner'zhul. And if I did something like steal loot or purposely kill people in a raid, that was a tarnish on my name and became a situation where, like, oh, you know what? I'm just not having any luck finding a guild right now because they all know that time where I wiped a raid, on purpose or something like that. You end up getting a tarnish on your name and it stuck with you. And that aspect is missed today when, if you want to be in a heroic guild, well, those don't really exist. You just join a heroic guild at random. You're just some random guy from a random server because we all shared, servers now. It's not quite the same in that sense. I do miss that part of the old school days.
do you remember Coup de Grace?
Oh yeah, a great example of that
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
Yeah, Coup de Grace was a guild that was very talented and very good and very skilled. The thing was, is they were known for stealing gear, and so
yeah.
if you raided with them, you had to understand that look, there's a good chance your gear was going to be stolen from you. I liked those guys because I was so poorly geared that I got the trash they didn't want, and I would just keep showing up just so that I could fill a spot. Um, but yeah, they were notoriously ninjas, is what it's called, ninjas. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel. So we have the board here. We have the S ranking A, B, C, D, and F. Where would you put this at?
A good B?
B is
What would
actually
you
where I'd
think?
put it to. I think nostalgia kind of moves it up a little bit, but just
Yeah.
straight gameplay, it's lacking so many tools that we've fallen in love now. And for a lot of people, classic kind of reminded you like, oh yeah, it is nice to have this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Burning Crusade. What did you like about the Burning Crusade, Daniel?
Burning Crusade. Hmm. I love the planet, just the Outlands.
Yeah, the setting. Yeah.
The whole setting of it. I did I do the raid? I think I did do I fought kill Jaden
Black
there.
Temple. Yeah.
Yeah. Black Temple was cool. But again, I was a higher level
Hmm.
when those raids came out, so I just cleared the content. So I didn't really experience anything. Um this one's gonna be harder for me to say anything about
Yeah, yeah.
this expansion. Yeah.
I know the next one you're gonna go
But
crazy on, so we're kind of warming up
yeah.
for your next one.
Yeah. Um yeah, this one not really too sure too much
Yeah.
about it.
So I'll
What
I'll
do you
give you
think?
the setting was a really good point because when you go from vanilla and you're out in Azeroth and everything's generally pretty nice, then you head out and the first thing you see is like Hellfire Peninsula, desolate, floating rocks. You're barely on a planet if you can call it that. Um, it's just a mess. And then Shat looks really nice out there, but most of the place kind of looks like desolate and abandoned. And the demons were a constant threat throughout the entire land. It was kind of this first time where we had a villain that went beyond just the borders of that territory you're in. And so it kind of felt like we're in a grander scale and we're having to move up a little bit. I remember leveling through this thinking like, this game has changed. It's a whole new game now. And of course, looking back, I'm like, well, no, it isn't. But at the time it was just like everything's so different. It's so big. Do you have any favorite dungeon or raid in this area? We had like Black Temple. We had a lot of really good mana tombs, really good dungeons as well. Is there any favorite dungeons?
Dude, I can't remember the name. It's like the very first dungeon you get in. It's
Yeah,
with the red orcs.
yeah. So Hellfire, like Ramparts and Hellfire.
Oh yeah, those right there.
Yeah.
I do. One thing I do like is the questing, because throughout the whole area, like you would always run into the pit fight guys.
Yeah.
And then you just have to fight them, or the necessary questing.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying it wrong.
No,
but
you're in Nessingware, yeah.
yeah. I remember all those quests. Like I still remember those quests.
Yeah.
To just leveling through those every time, and I would make sure I would do all of them.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
It's really cool because that was one of the connections to the old world. Is in STV Stranglethorn Vale. You're helping Nessingware and his crew on their hunting expedition, and then they happen to be out here in Burning Crusades as well, and they'll be in future expansions as well. It's kind of this cool little thing that travels the expansions pretty well. Even in Legion and stuff, he's out there. That's a good point. For me, I brought up Mana Tombs because I really like Mana Tombs. I really like that whole area. And then Dark Temple or Black Temple was so cool because that's when we got to go after Illidan, and it was just kind of felt like this thing where it was like the trailer was telling you you're not prepared, and you're walking through there with your friends. You're like, we might not be prepared, and it had some of these massive bosses that were just beyond the scale that you've ever seen before. And you felt like you were a small strike force in an army's fortress, and you could just like, man, we're beyond the point of no return. So what are we gonna do? We have to try to keep going forward and take down Illidan. Really well done. I think the expansion was actually quite well done. I don't think it's as good as vanilla myself, because vanilla, I think,
really?
because I like the setting of vanilla more. That more grounded in fantasy, more realistic almost than just being. It was really cool out in Outlands, but not quite the same. The Grand was really neat. I don't know. I kind of have that feeling.
The Grand was cool.
Yeah. Where would you rank this one?
Me, I don't want to like disrespect anybody, so I'd rather you rank this one.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm gonna put it right below. It's like almost a B minus. I'm gonna put it as C plus. Now we have friends that have this at an S ranking, and so that's one thing we want to make sure to really iterate to everybody. Completely opinion based, because there's so many people that think that's crazy. That the vanilla alone is that just a B. So totally just our opinion. And if you guys disagree, hit us up.
That's why I didn't want to grade it, because I know a lot of people love this expansion, and I didn't get to experience it. That's why I don't want to say anything about it.
Yeah.
All
right, well, let's go into the expansion that you went deep on. Look at that face, guys. All the stream was worth it. Wrath of the Lich King, fantastic expansion. Daniel, would you break down kind of what was the story of this expansion?
It was mainly just Lich King and fighting pretty much Lich King.
Yeah.
And finally getting... That honestly, I feel like he was one of the funner bosses to fight.
Yes.
Well-known boss. The dungeons were amazing. Well, not amazing. I loved them. Just experiencing them every day. Plus, that was the first expansion I actually tweaked on.
Yeah.
So just doing all the dungeons, knowing all the tricks and stuff. It was technically easy mode on every class. Yeah. Even my Resto Shaman, like all I did was stack haste. That's probably why I love that.
Arm pin for me.
Arm pin hunters. Yeah. The raids were a lot of fun.
Yes.
Shoot. Well, the quest lines were awesome too. I love the DK questing. That was awesome when they added that. Oh, that's right.
This brought in the Death Knights. That's true.
Yeah. You started at level 50, 60, and then you gotta kill your best friend and all that. That's it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had to kill your best friend. No. Yeah, that was you just met him, but I was like, no.
It was such a good expansion.
Yeah. And the story. One thing I really like story wise. So the previous stories were kind of small and contained. Burning Crusade story was about pushing back on the Burning Legion, and with Wrath of the Lich King, you knew right away that the idea was to destroy the Lich King. He's famous from the Warcraft 3 lore. He's been there for a long time. You're headed to Northern to try to take him out. You actually you could take on Northern from one of two sides, so it kind of felt like we were invading his land to try to get him and try to destroy the Scourge once and for all. That's something that I think future expansions will learn failed horribly on, is not having like a defined, this is the last boss of the game kind of thing. And it's something that, what's nice about Shadowlands, we know the Jailer's the last boss. Unless they throw a surprise at us, Jailer's the last boss. So it's kind of like, because there's a lot of Wrath of the Lich King inspirations into Shadowlands. What are your thoughts? One thing I really liked, what are your thoughts on this, where you were in a dungeon or you're randomly doing a quest, and then here come the Lich King, and he was like, oh yeah, that's my henchman, or something like that. What are your thoughts on those moments?
It was like, it was exciting to see, but also like put a little fear in you, especially when they came out with those, what was it, Halls of Reflection?
Yes,
and
dude.
Was it Halls of Reflection?
They were the ones that came out right before ICC. It was like I think Halls of Reflection was one of them. There's 3 of them.
Yeah, then like Pittisauron.
And Pittisauron, that's it.
Yeah, and then like when he's like chasing you and you're just running with fear.
Yeah,
because he's pretty much go one shot you because you're not capable of fighting him at that point.
And it's funny, if anybody goes and do those dungeons now, they're like, this isn't that scary. The way this expansion built that moment up, you would only see him in passing, and when you did see him, it was a moment where you were like pacified and you couldn't really do anything. You couldn't fight him at all. And here he was fighting Sylvanas, and we'll talk about that here in a second too, the Sylvanas aspect of this whole thing. And you were just like, she's keeping him off, and then he starts coming at you, and he was like a Terminator, right? When he's just like can't be stopped, and you're like, no. It was so good, and they did a really good job of making sure it was obvious. The other storylines, we were introduced to a whole new slew of races because it was kind of this untouched area, and really great environments. When you got to, I think it was like 77 or something like that, you could start flying, and the 2 last zones were flying required. You couldn't get around Storm Peaks without flying, so it kind of forced you to take on the new thing, because this was the first expansion. No, not the first expansion with flying. The second expansion with flying, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because Burning Crusades had those dragons. So.
You're right. Yeah. So that really felt big. So when you're in Storm Peaks, it was this big grand thing. Let's talk about the raids that were there. Outside of ICC, what was your favorite raid?
Outside, I liked. It's funny, not that many people liked it, but I liked TOC.
TOC.
That was a good raid. That was a fun raid. It was just like fight after fight. There was no ads. It was just like you're just killing each boss at a time. That was a good one. And then, well, I did like ICC. Naxxramas was cool.
Naxxramas was really cool. That was kind of my first like really getting into a raid as an Nax. Yeah.
And then what was the Uldor? That one was a lot of fun. Remember, we used to be always tank buddies.
We'd be tank buddies. So in the beginning, you had to pick a tank, or whatever, and you'd be tank buddies. Do you remember you and me used to sell first FL kills?
Yeah.
So we got so good at the tank kills that me and Daniel would get together and we'd sell it, because you could get the first loot. It's like a mace and a helmet and stuff like that. And we'd sell that out to people, and then we'd take them out there, and you and me would, for the most part, do them all the damage, because we practiced that one fight. Past that boss, you're on your own luck. We had that first boss down. It was a lot of fun. That was just a really fun and unique, because it wasn't like you were using your abilities. You were using the abilities of the tank. So it was really fun. We had to like, I forget how it was. You had to like knock down gasoline canisters off of the helicopters. And then
hook them.
Yeah.
And then you're able to shoot, and then like speed boost.
Yeah.
And then just like run away. That was so much fun.
Uldor was a really good one. And really unique look. It was kind of, this Titan Titan structure, that stuff. So really cool.
The whole raid itself was awesome.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. Even the dragon fight, that was an awesome fight.
Yeah, it was.
It was like the proto Drake. I forgot the name of him.
Yeah, but you had to like hook him. You had to like get the spears in him to bring him down, kind of thing.
Yeah. That. I think that would be like my second favorite of the whole expansion. That raid.
But your first favorite has to be ICC, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the one that we wiped on. Gunship. We died 15, 20 times when we first made our guild.
We were brand new.
A crazy moment, and then I don't know how we kept guildies, but we kept them.
Not only did we keep guildies after that, which is insane, we've gained like lifelong friends from that fight.
Yeah.
We have a couple friends now, guys. We've mentioned them on the podcast before, but they they met us on that night, and afterwards we were like in shock of how terrible the night went. And they showed up the night after, and it was just kind of like one of those things where it was like, let's go hit their heads against the hammer again. And we finally got it down. Sourfang was easier than Gunship for us for some reason. And so
that was
and then
that was insane.
That fight. So I was already hooked on World of Warcraft, but I wasn't hooked on raiding as much as I was on World of Warcraft in general. But that raid fighting Putricide got me hooked on raiding.
Oh yeah, Putricide was so much fun.
So difficult. We had a really hard time. It took us like a month and a half to get him down. But when we killed him, the excitement in Vent, because you all used to use Vent right before Discord, the excitement in Vent is hard to understand. The united joy we had, that's what World of Warcraft is. That's what gaming is. It's community. And man, that was our boss. That was our boss to get down. It feels like every boss after that was easy up until Lich King. Could you think of anything we had a hiccup with more than Putricide?
More than Putricide, let's see. No, honestly, Putricide was definitely the one that we were struggling on, because I don't even think Lich King was even that difficult compared to Putricide.
Sometimes you're right. Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Yeah. And then the Lich King. We at that point the guild was growing so fast we had multiple raid teams going, because our philosophy, which looking back now was a stupid idea, was the fact we'll take your bad players from other guilds and then we'll just help them be better. Problem is we had a bunch of bad players from other guilds and we're trying to down bosses here. So that was the plan. We'd work with these other guys and really try to teach them. We had that one tank. God, you remember this one tank? This is one of the reasons we did bad on Gunship. Who would hop out of the ship, try to tank them all, and then turn his back to everybody but one guy. He's like, I'm focusing on this one guy.
Yeah.
The other ones are not being hit by your shield, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So nevertheless, yeah. So I remember very well being in Discord or event, listening to your guys' raid as you guys down the Lich King, and I was helping Team 2 as a healer.
Yeah.
So freaking sad that night.
Yeah. But we were able to get you the kills the next week. So
yeah.
That was good, but yeah, I bet it would have been disappointing.
Oh man, but that was super great. And then we found out. So we had a couple. We didn't tell Megalomania until a few years later, and he was still upset about it. But apparently, Cheddar wasn't using add-ons, and he was the main tank.
Oh yeah.
God. Oh my God, Cheddar. What are we gonna do with you, man? All right. Anything else you want to get at about Wrath of the Lich King? Obviously, our favorite so far.
Favorite expansion ever. Really? Wish everybody enjoyed it.
I have one expansion that beats it, but it was phenomenal.
I already know.
Yeah, and this is the World of Warcraft expansion that got us into World of Warcraft as much as we are in it now.
You know, one thing that was really disappointing about that expansion, though, is all the gear. Like, the look of the gear that you'd pick off from, like, the dungeons. Just dungeons. The raid was okay, but dungeons, it was just ugly. The gear was just ugly.
You're right.
Like, nobody transmogs their gear right now. Unless you're, like, the Death Knight and you got that mask from AQ. Or AZ. No, I forgot what. Well, that was like the only gear that was actually good in a dungeon.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to think back then we didn't transmog, so you just had to wear that ugly ass gear.
Yeah.
All right, where are you gonna rank this thing at?
Tough. I might have to give it a solid A. Wow,
respectable. I thought you were gonna go straight to the S.
Nah, I want to go for S.
Really?
People hate me.
I will put. There's going to be 2 expansions that I think deserve S. This is one of them, but I'll go to A if you think it's A. But I was surprised by that. A. Okay.
I love the expansion, but I mean, it had its flaws. But I think I liked it. I liked it more because of just the raid. We the guild. We started the guild, and we just met all these friends, and then I mean, just playing it was a lot of fun too. Yeah. So A. Solid A.
All right, that's a great ranking. I like that a lot. All right, so let's move on to Cataclysm. Definitely not the best expansion in my opinion. I'll break down the story real quick. So there's not much to it except for there was a sleeping dragon. He's the dragon of death. He's back and he's wreaking havoc upon the land. They used this moment to essentially remastered a lot of the old world. We had better technology at the time, so they could make things look a little better. The problem is they ended up destroying a lot of the nostalgic places like Barrens and stuff like that and Desolus. What are your thoughts on Cataclysm? How did you like it?
I liked it. Raid for the raid. I hated
Yeah,
how they destroyed the world. The Azeroth,
yeah.
they now there's a giant lake over there by Orgrimmar, which is kind of dumb. But it makes it easier to go up and down now. That has its goods and bads, but I don't like how
Yeah,
they pretty much destroyed Azeroth itself. But expansion was honestly just poop. Honestly, it was
just
just
poop.
poop.
Big
I
old poop
like the
emoji.
dungeons though. Dungeons were fun.
I think that's the
Yeah,
highlight. I think the dungeons were actually really good, especially like in Uldum, I think it was. There's that one where you're going through the marketplace and stuff like that. It's just really cool dungeons that were much more complicated than the Wrath of the Lich King
yeah.
dungeons.
I like
I'll give them
the
that.
Grim Batol. That was a fun one. Throne
That's a
of
good one. Ooh, that's a
Throne
good
of the
choice.
Tides was kind of interesting because you're under the sea and stuff like that. And Bashir, and then
Yeah,
get to fight that giant squid or whatever. That was cool.
yeah,
Uh, it was one thing that was also neat was Bashir itself. The starting zone because you get to swim. Got that little seahorse mount. Like it was pretty cool. It was
yeah.
a cool expansion.
An entire zone
Yeah.
underwater, which is pretty ambitious to try to do something like that.
It a lot of people probably hated it, but I thought it was actually like a interesting thing to do.
What about the other zones? Because I kind of it's funny because looking back, I did actually kind of like the other zones that were new for Cataclysm. I just didn't like what they did to the old zones. The new zones, were there any other ones that you liked?
Mm,
Like the Hydel area was pretty interesting to me.
Hyjal was okay. Which one was the? Actually, you know what? I didn't. Hyjal was interesting, but then it got annoying once you went up the mountain area where
Yeah.
the raid was.
Oh yeah.
That
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
area was kind of annoying. The questing, I think
Mhm.
questing wise, it was just horrible. The whole expansion.
I've been questing there a lot with his last patch when everybody like all the questing
Uh
changed, all the leveling changed. I've been in Hydel a lot lately.
huh.
Um, but yeah, I liked the Twilight
Oldham
Highlands
was
and stuff like
cool.
that. I thought the Oldham was very good. Actually, you're right
Like the
there.
sand, and everything.
Yeah,
Like you gotta fight a lot of beetles. The dungeons were pretty interesting too. Um, it's cool
yeah.
that we actually had to go back on Shadowlands.
hmm
Not Shadow.
We've been there a lot for
Yeah, BFA.
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 Yeah,
Sorry.
Battlefront. Um, anything else you want to mention about Cataclysm before we move on to the next one?
No, actually I don't because it was a horrible expansion.
Yeah. All right. So where are you throwing the rank at on this
A
thing?
solid C, actually, a solid C.
You think C? I want to change it. I want to go D,
Really?
and I'll say D because it has to. So at C, you're saying it's as good as Burning Crusade, and I think it's worse than
No,
Burning
yeah, I
Crusade.
definitely agree with that.
Okay, so then I think D is where we have to
Okay,
put that one
I'm down.
personally.
I'm down with a D.
Okay. Next up is Pandaria.
Oh,
Okay, so we're going up Mr. Pandaria. Story for this one is we're at the war with the Alliance as it continues, and we find out the mist kind of moved away from this one
mhm.
island that we didn't know was there. After the cataclysm, this mist moved away. We find out there's an entire race there and this land full of riches. Boom, Horde and Alliance are on their way. And that's it. We find out it's kind of this side plot almost. It was really interesting in that way. What are your thoughts about Mr. Pandaria?
It was fun, but I didn't like the whole dungeon. I didn't like the dungeons. Didn't like the raids. But that's when
Yeah.
they started going back to Kata times, right? Not Kata, Burning Crusade times, and you were grinding for rep to get gear from certain zones, correct? Isn't that when they finally went back?
I don't
Like you were trying to get their rep.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's okay. You're very right. So Cataclysm kind of made things a little bit easier. Like, well, Cataclysm made dungeons harder, but everything was easier. And Wrath of the Lich King,
Yeah,
everything was easy. But you're right. Pandaria is when they're like, we're gonna make classes hard. We're
yeah,
gonna make grinding hard. We're gonna make dailies
yeah.
again.
So
Yeah,
they
you're
made
right.
it
You're 100% right.
a lot more challenging, which was cool.
Yeah.
They brought in the farming thing. Like you get to farm plants and stuff like that. That was the garden
Yeah.
or whatever. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Uh, but I honestly was not a fan of any of the zones. I found the zones annoying.
Really?
Yes, I didn't enjoy any of them. Yes,
Wow.
it's crazy.
I liked the zones. It was so unique. Even the mountain generation was all
Uh
new.
huh.
Uh, it was okay. So, if you guys who didn't know, Mr. Pandaria is based off of like Chinese lore. Everything's panda based. And so that was so unique compared to like maybe a Western uh fantasy world, which is what we had before in Azeroth. So it was a big change, and I really liked that myself. Uh, what did you think of the new race? We got a new race and new class in this one, with monks as the new class and the new race being Pandaren. What are your thoughts on
I
that?
like the class. The class was awesome. I like the
Mhm.
healing. Mistweaver was fun. And Brewmaster was a cool little aspect to the tanking thing. It's like you stagger all that stuff. Um, Pandas, I still haven't made a panda class or race yet. Not a big fan of pandas. I know Tabby
Yeah,
is. She made every
you.
character.
Oh my god, yeah. She has like a
Yeah,
dedicated
she
panda
does.
server that has just pandas, and she's got a bunch of names for pandas the whole time. Okay, so that's so crazy. Okay, so let's think about this. What uh, what grade would you give Pandaria then?
Hmm.
Because if you're not making any pandas, it's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah,
But you didn't like the land. You didn't
I
like.
didn't enjoy it.
It sounds like you didn't quite like the. Did you like any of the raids?
No, the only dungeon maybe I liked was the I don't know the name. That's how much I hated this expansion, but the one with the big rabbit that takes the
Oh,
carrot.
that's a
Yeah, I
dungeon.
like
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
dungeon.
It's the brew. It's the
That was the
brewery.
only like
Yeah,
thing I actually enjoyed out of the expansion.
you're kind of blowing my
The
mind. I'm not gonna. I'm not
I
gonna lie to you. You're
felt
blowing my
like
mind a
the
little bit.
serpent dragons were annoying mounts. Like I have
Yeah,
hell
they
of
are.
them,
Yeah,
and I just don't use them because they're kind of
I never use those
like it's
mounts.
weird.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that. I don't know. Like I didn't enjoy it. You did. I know you did, but
I'll tell you what my
yeah,
grade is, so that you kind of see why I'm surprised. I have this at an A. So, which in our grid would have it tied with Wrath of Lich
no,
King.
there's no way. I would say like a B, but
A
I
B, which is tied
I'd
with
give
vanilla.
it a good B, but I wouldn't give it an A. I would, yeah.
Okay. I'll put it at a B, but it is a B plus for
Okay,
me, guys.
we'll agree for
Personally.
a B plus. Agree for a B plus.
Okay. So a little bit better than vanilla, not as
Yeah,
good as Wrath. I'm
yeah.
cool with that. All right. Again, every time you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up. Here we are again. We got Warlords of Draenor. Just in general, Daniel, what do you think about Warlords of Draenor?
It was a good, it wasn't bad. I
I like,
actually
dude. First of all, I love the size of just like you miss those times. You keep doing that. It's just the nostalgia hitting you
I
hard right
don't
now.
mind it actually. I actually liked it better than the other expansions. The raids, the dungeons were yes.
Really,
I like the map.
we are differing
Yeah,
like
it's
crazy right
crazy
now.
though. Um, was it Slag Mines and then Grim Braille
Yeah.
Depot? That was a fun dungeon too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, do what was that one fight that we were stuck on? He was in the center of the fight. Like, what was that raid called?
Heimel
Highball. What's it? Yeah, it was
or
Highball. And then
BlackRock?
it was like the boss was in the center of the room and we could never beat it.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like the second to the last boss
Yeah.
in Heimel. Yeah, he's a real pain. We didn't have the
And then
skill
the
set for that.
Frogger. There's the Frogger, and they that
Yeah.
raid was so much fun because you got the Frogger and then the Hansa Franz. No,
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're
yeah, I'm
talking about
talking about
BlackRock. You were
BlackRock.
talking about BlackRock. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That fight that we got stuck on was far too easy, and we
Yeah,
should have been
I
able to beat it.
agree.
But we still, nevertheless, we had a lot of avoidable damage that was not
Yes.
being avoided. Let me bring up those combat logs again that nobody liked. So, yeah, that was really Hans and Franz was
Hansa
so
Franz.
much fun. I loved Hans and Franz.
I actually enjoyed that expansion. I wish we were able to clear the raids together, like all of us, like
Yeah,
guildy and stuff. But I enjoyed a lot of those fights.
yeah. Our guild wise, this was kind of the second run for
Yeah,
Death of the Alliance, which is the name of our old guild. Wrath of the Lich King was the beginning. We died off in Cataclysm. We came back for WAD, the second run. And yeah, it kind of ended in Blackrock just because the dysfunction, and then we had different goals, I think was the key. And it was not going to go any farther.
yeah, definitely.
I don't know, man. So the end of this expansion was nice for me because I did find a new guild, and then they were kind of showing me like the ropes of how they raided stuff like that. It was kind of nice to see how other guilds do things. I did enjoy that. I I had fun, but I don't think it's a good
Oh,
expansion. I mean, I
really?
had fun though. Yeah, but I don't think it's a really good expansion because it was meant to be the 1 year expansion. There's at this time the plan was, and it was early Activision days. We're gonna do a new expansion every year, and that's what this one was planned for. They couldn't do that development wise. They just couldn't make that happen. So then they had this thing where the last raid existed for way too long. I ended up leveling tunes just in Tana and Jungle, being able to farm
Yeah.
herbs the whole time, because we had so much time. So I don't know. I'm personally gonna have a little bit low. The story was though cool because we got back to some of the original
Hmm.
orcs that we fell in love with and stuff. So there was that. It has its moments. I'll give you that. It has its moments. Let's go ahead and give this one a grade. Where are you gonna put this one at on the ladder?
I'll go with the B or C on this. B.
A B
B
or
or
a
C.
C? I personally got to put it at a
Really?
C.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of going back and forth. We were like, look, Pandaria can't be at an A, so we're gonna put it at a B. I'm gonna say this one has to be at a C then, because I can't see it being better than Vanilla or Pandaria, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And again, I want to remind everybody these are personal opinions, so if you could totally disagree
Yeah.
with us, let us know where you'd rank everything.
Uh,
All right, is
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I'll go with that. That's fine.
Okay. If you want to fight for it, if you want to give me a reason, it deserves to be
Nah.
higher
Nah.
than
Nah. Nah.
to be on the same level as Vanilla. Okay. All right. Now we're going to my favorite expansion, Legion.
Yeah, I can figure.
Okay. Yeah, the Burning Crusade is back. We ended up tapping the help of Illidan. Illidan. Yeah, to fight out the Legion again. This expansion had freaking everything. First off, this is the peak of my raiding career, so that helps a lot. But the story was amazing. The raids were phenomenal. The dungeons were all cool. It introduced Mythic Plus, which I don't care what anybody says. Mythic Plus saved this game. It made it to where you could have a 5-man team as dedicated as you used to have your 25-man team, and still be able to gain the gear you want from it and the challenges you needed. Um, Legion was perfect. The raids, for example, Nighthold was so great, and Taurus great. They were unique, and yet they still had the kind of same feel because it was the demons the whole time. What did you think about Legion?
Okay, so I actually liked Legion a lot. I really did enjoy it, and it's funny. So the other day, actually, for a while when I was playing Legion, I didn't care for all the dungeons, right? And then going to the next expansion, BFA, I started like, man, you know what? Those Legion dungeons were actually really fun. Like all of them,
Mhm.
I actually enjoyed most of them. Most of them.
Right. Yeah, only one I don't like was a COS where you're in the town.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
COS
one I
was
didn't like.
annoying. And Suramar. That one definitely was annoying. Uh
Well, this is
there's like the Suramar thing, right? Town, whatever.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
it the dungeons were fun, raids were cool. We joined Dream. No, Dream.
At the time, I
Yeah, it
think it
was
was
Dream,
Dream. They changed
Nick
names 3 times since
Healing
then.
or whatever. Uh
Yeah,
Damn, I already forgot the names of the raid. But the raids were awesome. Even when they
the one you were really hard in was
Nighthole
Nighthold.
was
That's the one that
cool.
you were really
And then
hardcore.
which one was the Hella, the octopus?
Yeah,
There's like 3 bosses.
Halls of
House of Valor? Oh
Champions or
no,
something. Halls of
no,
Valor,
House of
maybe.
Valor was dungeon. Shoot, what was that raid?
Yeah,
Anyways, that raid was honestly cool. Like everything about it was
yeah, it
cool. It
was.
was only 3.
It
Yeah,
was
it's
just
3
three
bosses.
bosses, but it
Yeah,
was fun. It's nice and easy. Let's get this one out, and then we'll go because that's nice to do. It's like, oh, let's do this one quick raid, and then we'll go on to the
And
normal
then
raid for the month
we
or the
beat
week.
it in Mythic level before they did the nerf to it too. We got that little.
I think we got the cutting. We might have
we
the cutting
do.
edge on that one. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually enjoyed all those dungeons and raids, and one thing that was awesome is when we joined Dream, we made new friends, and now they're just BlizzCon buddies.
It's amazing how that happens, right? It's so hard to explain that to people. How much like, yeah, these are our friends for like ever. Like we've known Tabby and Richard since Wrath, and now it's like Derek and Sin are every year. I can't wait to go down and hang out with Sin down in LA for BlizzCon. Like that sucks so bad that the pandemic stopped that. But yeah, we've got good friends out of this, and it's just it was a blast and a lot of hard work. This expansion was some of the hardest work you and I both put into this game, where we're having to like really cap out our gear and min max everything. We actually tried for
Mythic. That's why it was like that was the first time I actually tried Mythic, and it was a blast. There was a lot of wiping, a lot of annoying chat members, but you know what? It was a lot of fun. What would you say was your favorite zone out of that whole expansion?
Ooh, that is a really good question because they were all so. Oh, it has to be Suramar though.
You like Suramar? Really oh man, yeah. I kept getting annoyed with everybody because you would get caught or whatever because you'd have the costume.
Well, the whole zone, not just the city, but the whole zone, I really like.
Oh, you like the zone? Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I like Stormheim. Stormheim was pretty cool.
That's a good one.
What was it? Not High Mountain. High Mountain was okay. Valshara. Yeah, that one. That one was cool. Yeah. It was like all the plague in the forest and stuff.
That's a really good one to level through, by the way, guys. You get a lot of XP going to that one if you're trying to level new tunes.
Yeah. I would say like my favorite dungeon was probably Maw of Souls.
Maw of Souls.
Yeah, that was an awesome dungeon.
Dude, blast, man. And those dungeons, because of the Mythic Plus thing, we learned every pack. We learned everything. It wasn't like, speaking of Wrath, where you're just like, okay, get in there and whirlwind or get in there and multi-shot. No, you had to know, like, pin that one down, interrupt this one, and if somebody didn't interrupt things, likely everybody wiped. Like, I loved that about Mythic Pluses.
Yeah.
And this expansion introduced it. It was really good.
Yeah. One thing that's sad is like, at the time I was still working at Cardinal, so I had to wake up hella early, and your guys' raid times was late until like midnight.
10 to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
For Pacific time, we had a lot of East Coast Raiders. Derek, East Coast Raider. So for him, his time was what, like 1 to 3 a.m. in the morning?
It was hard. That's why I was like, all right, guys, we finally got a shaman. I'm gonna leave you guys. I gotta go. Yeah. I'm done. I can't.
It's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule even because it takes so much time just to be prepared for raid.
Yeah.
So it's hard for that as well. But really great expansion. I can't say enough good things about this expansion, honestly. I liked the legendary weapons, and I liked the artifact weapons and the legendary gear you can get that changed your gameplay.
Yeah.
It really felt rewarding when that randomly dropped, especially if it was like that item you needed. And those things are getting pulled into Shadowlands, except for they're taking some of the RNG out of it. So that, like, how there's that legendary that would change your gameplay and make you important. Mm-hmm. Well, now you could just go for it. You could actually craft that. So you're farming it up, but it's not, it's not random. So that's pretty nice.
It was definitely a fun expansion, though. I could see. I already know what grade you're gonna give it, but
yes,
I could see why you want to give it that grade, because it was the first expansion to introduce Mythic Pluses, and that's where this game is headed to. And now there's a whole esports section of Mythic Pluses,
and it's my favorite esports.
But you know what, though? I do want to say it does get boring, though, because I feel like they need to change it up, make every class strong, so that you can have more variety in Mythic Pluses, especially when you're watching Mythic Pluses and you're only seeing the same races or classes every single time.
Hunters and rogues.
It's really boring, and they need to change that up. They need to make.
They're trying. That's what this expansion is supposed to remedy, because they're bringing back so many. So, like, for example, Bloodlust now can't be done by my pets or whatever. Now it has to be Shaman. I think Mage is still, but the drums are gone and stuff like that too. So you guys are more required and stuff.
Yeah. They need to pick it up, because it does get boring. Like in the beginning, I thought it was awesome. Like I would love to watch it, but after a while, it just got super boring, just seeing the same things over and over again.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, my ranking on this is an S. I'm giving it the S ranking. Why should it not be an S ranking, Dan? What are you thinking?
Honestly, I hate to say it, but honestly, it does deserve an S because just
Oh, baby!
yeah, fuck you. Uh, honestly, the raids were fun. I think I like more Wrath because of the whole Lich King
Right.
storyline, but this storyline was also fun. There's a lot of raids that they came out with. Dungeons were fun and challenging because you got the Mythic Plus. That's yeah.
Mhm.
I hated legendaries. It was stupid to have to
Oh,
randomly
you didn't like
find
the
them.
legendary system? I
No,
really
I
liked it.
hated finding them like randomly.
Yeah.
Like it took forever to get a legendary, and if you didn't have that legendary, you're just kind of screwed because you're not gonna do as good as the other people that had that legendary. So I didn't really care for that system, but Dungeons, it was a good expansion, and honestly, it does deserve an A. An S A
I love how
S
you kind of
A
like roll your eyes
S
when you're
A.
saying that.
It was like one of
so,
those.
one thing I will say, and you brought up a good point that like we had the Lich King to look forward to in Wrath of the Lich King. I think the version of that for this expansion, what I really liked was it's not a villain that we had to look forward to beating, but we did have an all star, and that was Illidan. The entire time was working with us, so it was like kind of like how Khadgar was really introduced
Yeah,
more heavily in Draenor. It was kind of like this guy that we were like always interested in what Illidan was going to do, and in the end, it came down to Illidan, and like he's the one that saved the day for us by staying behind. So I'm giving it an S ranking. I think that's where it belongs. And this chart is now looking accurate. All right, I'm 100% on board with this chart.
whatever. No,
All
it
right,
was good. It was good. It's definitely good.
back on the roller coaster of expansions. We're looking at Battle for Azeroth, one of the coolest trailers for an expansion ever, where you had that big battle outside of Lordaeron, and you had the Banshees yell with the Sylvanas
Son
and
of
stuff like
honest.
that. What are your thoughts in general for Battle for Azeroth?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Like you said, the cinematics they did a great job. Gets
yeah,
you hyped to play WoW and be a horde member.
yeah.
Um, it wasn't a bad expansion. A lot of people hate it. Uh,
Yeah.
everything. Hmm. This one's tough, man. Honestly, because I
Let's do this. Let's go over the pros and the cons for this expansion.
okay,
So try to think of some of the pros for this expansion.
bro. I liked
I liked
dungeons.
the dungeons were good.
Dungeons
Okay,
were
yeah.
really good.
I like Borealis is one of my favorites.
Siege of Brass, yeah. Freehold was fun. I liked Freehold.
Yeah. Oh, Freehold is good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Waycrest Manor was pretty cool. Like the
Oh,
whole
that is actually my
that
favorite
was
one. Actually, now I'm
it's
thinking
a
about it,
hard one when you're doing Mythic Pluses.
it
Yeah,
is
it
because
was
the
really hard.
randomization. But I
Um,
like that like organ sting every time you kill certain ones. Like, doo, it was good.
yeah. Um, did you like the questing?
It was okay. I do like the. So one thing this expansion did that they said they were going to do is it was very story driven.
Yeah, it
And they
was.
did do a good idea where like the horde was very clear. Like, okay, hey, the king needs you to take out these three targets. Their threats. Once you do that, we're good to go. It was kind of very clear on what your story was, and that's why we had so many cutscenes in this expansion. It has to be the most. I would well, Warlords of Draenor did a really good job with cutscenes, but I think even this one passed that up. Um, I was a big fan of the cutscenes, and I think the story really too. What did you think of the questing and the story?
Questing was okay. I found it working for Sylvanas. What's his name? It starts with an N, I think.
Nathanos.
Nathanos. I thought that was kind of annoying having to go
Mm-hmm.
to like Colterius or whatever those
Cool tears.
zones,
Yeah.
doing all that. I felt like that was kind of annoying, but I do
Yeah.
like how they added those. I don't know the name of it, but it's like the horde games. I call it like you. What was it like? You go and then you got siege the alliance area. You
Oh
know,
yeah, like the invasion where we're
yeah, the
invading
invasion. Yeah, that
the
was
invasion points. Yeah.
yeah, the invasion points was cool. I do like the when you're fighting the computer or the alliance, whoever gets
Hmm.
the most Azerite power. That was cool. I
Oh, the island
yeah, the
expeditions.
island
Yeah,
expeditions. I always forget the names of those.
those. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because nobody does them.
Yeah, I stopped doing that. It was a good way
And
to
the war
level.
fronts. There's the war fronts that again nobody's really doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think one of the big downfalls for the beginning of this expansion was Azerite. Everybody realized really quickly that Azerite armor was terrible.
Yeah, it
Did you
was.
like Azerite armor at all?
No, I hated it. It was the worst thing
Yeah,
ever.
it's the worst. It is the worst system they've put into this game was Azerite armor.
Yeah. I don't care for the what they have the necklace. That was garbage too.
That was bad too, actually. Yeah, that was bad because it gave you an ability that wasn't really that great.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's talk about how the story changed over time because we were led to believe that this is going to be a Horde versus Alliance focus expansion, which on its face sounds really cool. We knew that that couldn't be the end, right? Because that wouldn't make much sense for a final boss. And then, of course, oh hey, look, it's the old gods. It was telegraphed very well for us. We knew that the old gods were going to become a problem. What do you think about the old gods being added as like the second half of this expansion?
I thought it was weird. I didn't think they were
Yeah,
gonna go that far. I mean, the next expansion, you're pretty much going down to what death or whatever.
yeah. Right now we're having to go to
Yeah,
death. Yeah.
I don't know. They're making some crazy storyline.
Yeah, we're super cosmic now and shit. Yeah, we're Guardians of the Galaxy level weird.
But you know what's funny? Like, remember when we were playing Wrath? This is just off topic. Remember we were like talking about like, oh, WoW's gonna be coming out with a new game and it's gonna be probably like out of space about like
Yeah,
StarCraft and I mean that's where it's headed.
yeah, we're headed to space, and
It's
there's gonna be a moment where we're just like, guys, here you don't have a garrison anymore. You have a spaceship.
yeah,
Go
and
enjoy
then
your spaceship and bounce around in space.
you get like a spacesuit, you get fucking just fly around.
Yeah,
That's where we're going right now.
it's gonna be my new favorite expansion.
Yeah. Did you like the whole like
No,
end question? Yeah.
I felt like the old gods are too important to be shoehorned into this expansion. And if this was going to be an old gods expansion, then fine, lead off with that so that we could be properly prepared for it. Other than just like, oh, who's the last boss? It felt very cheap. And then, so that didn't feel good. And then we had, of course, probably the best part was the Sour Fang storyline of this expansion, in my opinion. And then we have Sylvanas, who's really portraying the Horde. We kind of knew it was going to happen, but the whole time we kind of kept saying like, well, they just did a squash. They wouldn't do it again, would they? And they did it again. I want to make sure to mention that we went over these expansions. Back at Wrath of the Lich King, when we killed the Lich King, Sylvanas killed herself because that was her goal was to kill the Lich King. So she throws herself off of the top of the Ice Crown Citadel and to her death. At that moment, she's approached by the jailer and his people, the Valkyrie, and is convinced to help him. And so since then, so if you're looking at the expansions in order now, so in Cataclysm, in Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, she's always been working for the jailer this whole time, not really for the Horde. She's just trying to create as much death as possible. So, do you feel like this is some retconning, or does it make sense that she was working for the jailer this whole time?
It honestly doesn't make any sense. And the story, I felt like the story was just going all over.
Yes,
It went all over. And then I mean I like how they got you at towards the end of the story. I love that. They got you into the story, especially when you started fighting well you started murdering your own people too for Sylvanas, and then it was just like,
yeah,
so now are we the bad guys? And then yeah, the story was pretty much all over. But
yeah.
still an interesting story though. It was cool.
Yeah, the Sourfang stuff was very good, and then we worked with Rathion again, which is really fun to take out the
I
old
like the
gods.
whole like you get to choose which way you want to go, or for her
Yeah,
or
some player
not.
agency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome. Wish there was more to it. That would have been
Hmm.
cool.
It does kind of feel empty at this point now. We're all
Yeah,
going to go fight her,
yeah,
so it's like, well, what about those guys that teamed with her the entire time?
yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah?
It was a good. It doesn't beat Legion though. Does not beat Legion this expansion.
I think it's pretty low on the list in my opinion. Where are you gonna rank it?
Shoot, probably like a good solid C.
You're thinking C. Okay. I was cool if you said F, but I was thinking D to be nice. But you
Really?
thinking C? Yeah. So you thinking this is as you think it's the same level as Burning Crusade and Warlords of Draenor?
Man, yeah, that's tough.
Or do you think it's the same level as Cataclysm? So, like, if you're thinking D, it's on the same level as Cataclysm. If you think C, it's the same level as Burning Crusade and Warlords of Draenor. And if it's B, then you think it's the same as Vanilla, and Mr. Pandaria.
That's tough. I mean, I don't mind the expansion too much. I just didn't care too much for the story till the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and races, classes were just for enhancement were just shit. That's what.
So many. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a very bad job with tuning this because Azerite fucked everything up, and then they were like, "Well, let's fix Azerite by adding corruption." I stopped playing because of
Oh
corruption.
yeah.
One thing stops me playing.
Corruption was
Corruption is
annoying.
so stupid.
I totally agree. That whole corruption thing was so dumb. I didn't understand why they even added that to the game.
Made no sense.
Well, at least they learned their lesson. Don't ever do something like that.
Right. Well, just stacking it on top of. Well, I mean, there's always systems, right? There's systems in Shadowlands too, which I'm looking forward to, but they could easily be as bad as Azerite. We just don't know yet. We'll see soon.
Well, we're getting.
When you guys are listening to this, is launch day, so we're gonna find out very soon.
Well, we are gonna get tier gear, right?
Yeah, tier gear is back. So. Legendaries are back. We have what are they called? Palagos and stuff like that. We have people that are following us with all their talent trees. There's a lot of systems, and we have the ability from our covenant. A lot of systems that could go wrong. I just happen to like all the systems that they put in place, so fingers crossed that stays the same, and we're not doing this tier list in the next expansion, and we're like, Shadowlands on the bottom.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, like, everybody that's been playing the beta has been saying nothing but good things about it. So,
generally, yeah, even in beta, I've liked it. Yeah.
Fingers crossed that this expansion shits on all of them, all the past ones. But I'm down for a good D. Not in that way.
Okay, Daniel is good down for a good D. We're gonna shut the recordings off, and we're gonna make sure Daniel's happy. Daniel, I'll meet you at your house. So
yeah, I agree. A D is good enough. I wouldn't give it an F because they did add a lot of cool things to the expansion.
Zappy Boy, we've got some new characters because of this that are pretty cool characters.
Cinematics were fun, exciting. Yeah. Got your blood going, you know, especially when Sylvanas is yelling for the Horde.
But it's the only expansion to me. Like the reason it's so low for me, and it could go even lower, to be honest with you guys, is the fact that it's the only expansion that I stopped playing because of the expansion, not because I got tired or there's other things to do. A decision that World of Warcraft made to the expansion made me stop playing it. Yeah. That's never happened for me. I'm such a Blizzard fanboy, as everybody knows. We all are. So
yeah, I couldn't do that whole like the cape storyline. That was so dumb.
That's stupid too. I forgot about the cape. Oh man, that's another. Oh man, this thing sucks.
Yeah. Expedition. I do like the expedition thing. That was pretty cool.
The island expeditions were. Yeah, I do like those. I think that a version of that can be used in the future for sure.
I definitely agree. Especially like instead of doing PvP, you could do expedition. Like you should be in the PvP section now.
That's a good idea.
And then that's a really good idea. You get whatever, like gold or whatever if you win, like certain amount of gold or like a pet.
And it could straight up be like it would be a good in between ground for what an arena is and what a battleground is. Yeah. Like it's a little bit bigger than an arena, you know. Yeah, a version of this definitely could be done for that. I like that idea.
Honestly, like the PvP and battlegrounds are just not that great in this expansion.
They haven't added one in forever, dude. Yeah, if you're a PvP player, I'm sorry that you're being ignored, but you are being ignored.
Yeah, I mean they had the minecart one. That was BFA, right? Like you grab the minecart. That
was BFA. No, that was.
Was it?
I think that was
Legion.
Legion, I think, is the last one we had. I think. I don't know. Again, I don't know PvP often. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I'm bored out of my mind, so let's do this. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's go over our rankings real quick. At D, we have Cataclysm and Battle for Azeroth. At C, we have Burning Crusade and Warlords of Draenor. At B, we have Vanilla and Mists of Pandaria. At A, we have Wrath of the Lich King. And S ranking is Legion. If you guys disagree with us, which I'm sure you do, let us know on all the socials and in the comments below on the YouTube video. We want to discuss it. So if you have a reason that you think it's the tire up, here, let us hear it out. Let's talk about it. We're going to be streaming. Very, very important, guys. We're going to be streaming 3:00 Pacific Standard Time. When the game launches, Shadowlands launches, we're going to be streaming. We're all doing this for charity. It's going to be the Checkpoint charity, which works on mental health and stuff like that. We'll discuss it more during the stream, but basically what they do is they try to raise awareness and how video games can help people with mental or having issues with mental health and stuff like that. So we really want to make sure that you guys are aware of their charity and stuff like that. We're going to be raising money for them, and we're going to be talking about all the good that they do during the stream as well. So join us on stream. Our first goal is $200. We're going to keep it kind of light and just see how it goes because it's our very first charity stream. And if things go real wrong, I'm going to put the $200 up myself. So I want to at least make sure that we're somewhere good. But if it goes more, then I'm, of course, ecstatic. So join us, guys. We'll have a lot of fun in the games. And Daniel will be joining us a little bit later than normal, but still be joining us and pulling that all-nighter. Are you getting any kind of snacks or energy drinks for that night, Daniel?
Not doing energy drinks. That's how I messed up every other expansion. It's going to be 2 cups of coffee and a cup of tea. And I should be able to stay up until, I don't know, the next morning, honestly.
I'm bringing my dog over to my parents' house so that I don't have to let it outside. And I'm putting the coffee maker literally right next to me. We have the coffee maker right here.
I'm honestly excited for the whole just staying up late and just bullshitting about WoW. And then turning into a zombie. And then just laughing at just completely nothing. Remember when we were just like...
Dude, oh my God. Pandaria.
Yeah.
Pandaria, we were like on a 48-hour run playing Pandaria, and there was a point where we were just laughing at grass. I mean, we were so loopy. Oh, man.
So
I wish we were streaming back then because we were silly stupid, man.
And then I messed up, had rock stars and Pop-Tarts, and I was like, damn, I don't feel good.
It's because of diabetes. We had rock stars, not the diet ones, and Pop-Tarts. And you're eating Pop-Tarts like they were chips.
Yeah.
You're sitting there laughing about stupid shit and eating the Pop-Tart.
Oh, man.
Oh, I love this fucking game so much.
I can't. Hey, honestly, I can't wait. And remember I was telling you I'm going to put in a request form? Well, I did actually put in the request form. I said I need to hit max level so I could protect Azeroth from Sylvanas.
If you could give me a picture of that request form, I'll put it all over our socials. Oh, man.
I think I actually took a picture.
Oh, good. Send it to me. I love that your work has like, what the fuck are these?
They're just
people
like,
have like
what?
Fishing trips and stuff like that. And you're like, I have to say it Azeroth.
That was so awesome. Everybody was just so confused. Even my manager was just like, what's an Azeroth?
What's an Azeroth? All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We will see you on launch Monday, the 23rd at 3:00 Pacific Standard Time. We'll post the map that shows all the different time zones so you can join us. Let's raise some money for charity and let's have fun playing a video game we all love. We'll talk to you guys later. You all have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy Thanksgiving. By the way, we will not be here next week. We're all taking Thanksgiving off so we can hang out with our families. So no new episode next week, but the week after, we're right back in it. Y'all take it easy. You have a wonderful week. Talk to you later, and bye. Thank you for joining us on the Geek Freaks podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Freaks Pod. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us. We have our Patreon and a store. All those links are in the description.